Hi everyone, in this video I want to show you a game between two English grandmasters, David Howell and Jonathan Hawkins. This game was played in British Knockout Championship Round 1 2017. Let's see the game. e4, white occupies the center and controls d5 and f5 squares. e5, black does the same, occupies the center and controls d4 and f4 squares. Knight to f3, the knight attacks the pawn from e5, controls d4 and prepares d4 advancement. Knight to c6, black is defending the pawn and controls d4 square. Bishop to b5, white attacks the knight from c6, threatens to take it and then win the pawn from e5. This is the Spanish opening. We can see that white attacks with every move that he makes. a6, black is attacking the bishop and he needs to decide what to do, to take the knight or retreat. If the knight is taken, we will have the exchange Spanish. Bishop to a4 and d6 from black. This is a passive move. Black is defending the pawn from e5. It blocks his dark square bishop, and also the knight from c6 is in a pin. There are three moves for white in this position. c3, preparing d4. This c3 move gives a retreat square for the bishop if he wants to come to c2. The second move played in this position is short castle, and the third one is bishop takes on c6, ruining the pawn structure by giving the bishop pair. Another way for black to play on move 4 was to develop a piece, knight to f6, and if white allows, black would like to enter into the famous variation called the martial attack. Let's see this variation. So, knight to f6 on move 4, short castle, bishop to e7 with the intention of castling, rook to e1. Now, white threatens to take the knight and then take the central pawn from e5. So, black is forced to play b5, bishop to b3, short castle, c3, with the intention of playing d4. And black replies with d5, and this is the martial attack. Black is sacrificing a pawn in order to develop his pieces before white, and he wants to start an attack. So white would take on d5, knight takes on d5, knight takes on d5, white takes the free pawn, knight takes on d5, and rook takes on d5. And the rook is attacking the knight from d5. So black replies with c6, the knight is defending, and in this position white tried several moves. The most played move is d4, but recently d3 started to be played more and more. Another move is bishop takes on d5. So let's go back to the game. So black played d6 and white castled. His king is safe. Bishop to g4, developing move, pinning the knight to the queen, and black might play queen to f6, attacking the knight. And if the bishop would take and the queen takes, and white will have double pawns on the f file. c3 controls b4 and d4 squares and prepares d4. Also, this move allows the bishop to go back to c2. Queen to f6. It seems that black wants to inflict double pawns on the f file. Also, the queen controls d4 square if white wants to play d4. White continued with d3. With this move, white is defending the pawn from e4, and also the dark square bishop can be developed. Knight to e7, With this move, black defends the knight from c6, but is blocking the darker bishop. Maybe the bishop will be developed to g7. Another way for black to continue was to take on f3, inflicting double pawns. In the game, white played bishop to e3. White would love to defend his knight from f3 with the other knight by playing knight pt2, but the bishop would be trapped. So white played first bishop to e3. And black saw this and he took on f3. Queen takes on f3, queen takes on f3, and g takes on f3. So the queens are off the board and white has double pawns on the f file. Black continued with long castle, and it seems that he wants to storm his pawns from the king side towards the white king. Here white played f4. He's getting rid of his weakness and he's threatening to play f5 or to take on e5. g6, this move controls the f5 square, and white takes on e5. So his weakness is gone. Black recaptured with his d pawn, but now white has a backward pawn on d3. So in the game, white decided to defend his weakness with bishop to c2 and h5 from black. He's expanding on the king side. Maybe it was better to play f file and open the f file towards the white king. Knight to d2 is a developing move, and we can see that the rooks are connected. g5 from black. White is not advised to take this pawn because the g file will open and white will have some problems. b4. White is pushing his pawn in order to open some file on queen side. The play might continue with a4 and b5. Bishop to h6. The bishop is developed and black rooks are connected. Maybe black should have played g4, continuing the attack. Also in the future, if black would play g5, we can see that the bishop might be exchanged. a4, white continues his plan, and knight to d4. An attacking move. The knight is attacking the bishop from c2, which is undefended. This knight is not free because the bishop from e3 has no squares to run. So in the game we see that white took the knight in order to eliminate the threat from c2 bishop, and black recaptured, attacking the bishop. And here white improved the position of his knight from d2 by playing knight to c4. The knight is jumping into the center, creating a retreat square for his bishop. Also the knight is looking to jump to e5 and then go on f7, forking the rooks and the bishop. So black took the bishop and white recaptured with the pawn. Knight to c6. Black is attacking the weak pawn from b4, and white defends his pawn with rook a b1. Maybe it was better for white to continue the plan with b4 instead of defending this weakness. Bishop to f8. We see that the pawn from b4 is attacked twice. And d4. white leaves the b pawn for free and places a pawn in the center. This d4 pawn is defended by the pawn from e3. Also, this moves frees the bishop from c2, who was defending the pawn from d3. Now the bishop is free to move. Knight takes on b4. The bishop is under attack, so bishop to b3 and f6. This pawn was already free on f7. Maybe black wanted to control e5 square, but white decided to take this free pawn. g4. Black pushes this pawn forward in order to open the g file. Maybe it was better to connect the rooks by playing bishop to e7, attacking the rook, and knight to a5. With this move, we can see that the bishop from b3 can go to e6, giving a check to black king and winning the knight from b4. Bishop to e7, the rook is under attack, and maybe it was better to play the rook to e8, controlling e6 square. White attacks the bishop, but it was also good to play to give the check on e6 square. Rook h to e8, black is defending his bishop, and bishop to e6, check. The king goes to b8, and here we see that white gives the exchange with the move rook takes on e7. Another way was to retreat the bishop to f5, protecting the e4 central pawn. Rook takes on e7 and bishop to f5. White is protecting his central pawn and the knight is still free to take. If white takes on b4, black takes on e6 and he's an exchange up. But white will still be better due to his central pawns. Let's see this line. So white takes on b4, black takes on e6, knight takes on b7, attacking the rook from d8. The rook moves, and white gives a check, attacking the rook from e6. Rook to b6 and knight to d7, forking the king and the rooks. And white is recovering his rook. His exchange, sorry. King to b7, knight takes on b6, and c takes on b6. And here in this position, white has some winning chances due to his central pawns. So in the game, white played bishop to f5, and black continued with c5. Black tries to defend his knight, but his pawn from c5 is a free pawn. Also, this move is creating some weaknesses around his king. D takes on c5, the free pawn is taken, and rook to e5. The rook attacks the pawn from c5, but the knight is still free to take. Trying to run doesn't help black, because if the knight goes somewhere, for example on c2, we can see that white can give a check on c6, picking up the rook from e5. So rook takes on b4, the knight is taken, and knight to c6 is threatened. So black took the pawn, is controlling c6 square, and knight takes on b7. The rook from d8 is under attack, and the rook from c5, both rooks are attacked. But black can escape with checks, so black give a check on c1, the king moves, another check on d2, the king moves away from the second check, rook to g1, another check, king to f4, and rook takes on h2. Black takes a pawn, and we can see he has two passed pawns. But black king is all alone, and white can start an attack, and white might checkmate black king. So I continue with knight to a5 check. If black goes to a7, we will have checking mate in two moves with knight to c6 check, king to a8, and rook to b8. Same thing for king to a8. We continue with knight to c6 check, and after the king moves to actually we are threatening a rook to b8 mate. But in the game, after knight to a5 check, black played king to c7. White continue with another check, rook to b7 check, king to d6, e5 check, king to d5, rook to d7 check, king to c5, and e6. White is threatening to get the queen in two moves. Rook to f1 check, and king to f4 to e4. And after this move, black resigned because white is faster to get the queen in the game. I hope that you learned something from this game. Please watch other games for my channel, and if you like this video, please subscribe. See you soon. Bye.